Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of Mountain Man Monday for October, 7th, 2019. So, a little bit late tonight. I know there's some other live streams going on in the community. We'll see if we get a couple of people to jump in here and have a little chat later in the evening. So we'll give a few minutes and let folks join in and see who wants to say hello this evening. Getting going a little bit later today, a bit of a long day, but I took a chance. So probably some of the overseas folks, especially the ones east, be the middle of the night right now, sleeping. So, and then again, I know a couple others, like I mentioned in the community, are doing a live stream as well. But a few things I wanted to talk about today, but we'll wait and see if anybody wants to chat. Feel free to start something up in the thread here. If not, we'll give it a few minutes. I just started up a minute or so ago. It's getting darker earlier. I know that I don't know exactly when the time changes. It's going to be sometime, I think, in the next few weeks, and it's going to look like that when it's 6:30 in the afternoon or 7 o'clock probably, till all the way till we get to December. But I'm looking forward to fall. The cooler weather finally hit here. In the mountains, it is, we got about a 15-degree break going into Saturday. It was really hot last week. We were in the 90s, high 80s, low 90s, and then it got about 15 degrees cooler on Saturday. No rain came with that, unfortunately. I don't know if anybody else is from the mountain area, but we're pretty need of rain. In fact, I think the trees are confused because a lot of the leaves that are falling are not fall leaves. They're dead leaves. They're crunchy brown. They went straight to crunchy brown. There's no rain. So, yeah, so I still think we're going to get a pretty nice fall. It's a little bit early. My guess is late in the month, early November, it's probably going to look pretty nice. And I think we're supposed to get some rain too. So that'll make it look really nice. I would like to do some videos up in the mountains too, especially up on the Blue Ridge Parkway, probably to capture some of that beauty. So hopefully I'll be able to share that with y'all. Hey, David, how you doing? Good to see you. Week, I think, over on the Yitz live stream, and so I had to wear this shirt today because the Steelers lost a tough one this weekend. So I had to go with number 2 shirt that of a winning team. Yeah, it's been a beautiful day. I was just talking about we finally got the temperatures, at least with the fall weather. We got about a 15-degree knockoff last weekend, and that has made it a lot nicer because we had been in the high 80s and 90s all September. I mean, like I mentioned before, summer goes till September 21st, so I guess we shouldn't be amazed. I think something in our head says it's September 1st. That means fall. It should be cooler, but it doesn't really work like that, especially here in the mountains. Hey, Marvin, good to see you as well. I think the last live stream I had, you popped in right at the tail end. So I'm a little bit later tonight. That might affect some of the folks coming in, but I figured better late than never. So Cleveland, Cleveland's playing the 49ers tonight, right? I have not tuned in. I don't know what that score's like. Yeah. Well, Marvin, you said I remembered, you could either rack that up to good memory, or that this is a pretty intimate community with only so many people that show up, so I remember each person. That's the nice thing about still being a small channel, is that you get to know folks a little bit better, and you can keep up with the chat too. I welcome everybody who's in here, especially those that that are in here that may have not chatted before. Feel free to say hello. You don't have to. You just find the conversations interesting as well. So San Francisco is winning 14-3. Yep, they beat the Steelers and might be a better team than originally thought. So that's pretty cool. Tough division, tough year for professional football, at least for my team, the Steelers. They got a 1-4 record and they're going uphill. So I hope some of you might have gotten to see this week, I released another video on the Apple Festival, which was in Hendersonville, North Carolina. They run that Apple Festival every year. Pardon me. And that was a fun time. It's a neat event to get to try some of the different things that they can do with apples. You can just have regular apples, or you can have apple desserts or apple ice cream. Apple ciders, all different things Apple related. It's nice because it helps the local apple farmers, but it's like a typical what do you call it? Like one of these street fair type things where 50% of it is unique and 50% of it is booth sponsors. So you get the as you saw, the person selling bathtubs and, the insurance company. Not that stuff's not good. They're the ones who foot the bill, really. So, but you know what I'm talking about. Have you guys ever been to an art fair, jazz fest, rib fest or whatever, and you see the marketing for it and you're like, oh, it's going to be all about that. And then you go down there and, somebody's trying to sell you sandals or something. Not that it deters from anything. It's still really beautiful in downtown Hendersonville. There's a lot of cool things to see. But even more so, you can go out, as I mentioned in the video, you can go out east on Highway 64 out of Hendersonville, and there are multiple apple orchards. And, some of them have activities for the kids and stuff like that. And some of them, you can buy apples. And so one thing I'll say about that is that you can buy apples in probably a greater quantity going out to the apple orchards than at the Apple Festival, which might seem obvious, but really the apples seem a little expensive at the Apple Festival. So I don't usually buy any there. I might try some. Mama Bear's Instapot Cooking. Hello, welcome to the chat tonight. I've mentioned Mama Bear a few times. She's got a newer YouTube channel using an Instapot and with different recipes. And so I'm not a great cook. I've mentioned that a few times. I can cook on the grill. So that type of cooking is really intriguing because, it makes cooking easier. Not everything has to be from scratch. And that's a pretty cool channel. Check out Mama Bear's Instapot Cooking. By the way, Mama Bear Instapot Cooking, I appreciate the nod for encouraging you on your YouTube channel, although you did it all yourself. So anyway, good luck and keep those videos coming. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that like cooking. And we've got a special visitor here who wants to know if I could quarterback for the Steelers. It might be possible. So that's they're going to call me next. The Steelers, for those of you who don't follow football, their quarterback got knocked out this weekend, concussion. I mean, stone cold. Like he was on the field and his hands were like frozen, and it would look pretty nasty. So they're down to the third string quarterback. So that's pretty funny. Knowing that I'm a Steelers fan, would I do that. So heart to that comment right there. And good to see you there. Marvin, that looked like a cool festival. Yeah, the Apple Festival was a lot of fun. The Apple Festival was the 4 days or 3 days. It was Friday, 3 days, or maybe it was Thursday. And it's really famous. I mean, if you saw my last shot from the festival where I held up the camera, the streets were packed. It was, I used to go to Disney a lot, which, by the way, sometime when we're having a lively chat here on this channel, again, I probably knew I'd get a few less tonight because I started late, busy day. But, I definitely can talk a lot about Disney World. I was an on and off pass holder there for on and off for 10 years when I lived in Central Florida. So I know a whole heap load about Walt Disney World. But the crowds at the end of the Apple Festival, or when we left in the middle, were reminiscent of some of the crowds at Disney. Just, on a smaller scale, but it was really packed, and it was hot that day too. So yeah, that hopefully you got to check that out. And Mama Bear, you're welcome. I like that recipe with the. We don't have an Instapot. If we get one, I'll have to try it. But the chicken and sweet potatoes, as I mentioned, is a very healthy meal, and it looked good. David said Devlin did a good job. Devlin is the third string quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Devlin Hodges is an amazing job. I guess when you have an FCS record holder that comes in and wants to prove himself, Are there specific types at the festival? Apple types at the festival? So there are at the Apple Festival, actually, when I say there are, I showed in one of the shots a picture of the different types of apples. And the one that is really popular is the Honey Crisp, because maybe Mama Bear knows about some of this, but there are some apples they deem better for cooking, and then some that are just sweet to chop up and eat. And of course, the green ones are sour. But believe it or not, you don't really get to try them. You would think like it'd be like Sam's Club where you walk in and they're trying to hand them out. But I think that so many people would just try and not buy that you really don't get to like go around and try each one. So you have to kind of read the descriptions and take a chance. I mean, it's not like you're breaking it, it's not like breaking the bank. You would, you can buy the small bag, what do they have? The bushel and all the different sizes. They do have, there's also some apples that are not in season that early in September, and they tell you, they'll say, these are a little bit later, and but you can always go out to the apple orchards and get the different types of apples. Mama Bear says that's what I used. I love them all. I'm assuming you mean the you used the cooking apples, right? Maybe for like a apple pie, or maybe something like that. I'm assuming that there's a certain kind of, I don't even know what qualities an apple would have that's better for cooking. Maybe they're not sweet or something like that. I'm not really an apple connoisseur. In fact, to be quite frank, when I eat an apple by itself and it gets stuck in the teeth, it drives me crazy. So I'm kind of a baby like that. I like to chop them up, or if they're sliced, and then I like apples. I mentioned, I think last week, that I think some of the best apple pie I ever had was in the Philippines when I was there. I have next on deck are some videos from the Philippines. Those will be coming out. And so I took a little video of the apple pie I got, and the way they sliced the apple pie, the apples were so thin, it was crazy. It was really thin sliced apples with a doughy crust. It was really good. So Mama Bear says Honey Crisp baked. That sounds like the 1-2 punch to me, because all I know, again, I'm not the connoisseur. Honeycrisp are like the popular ones. In fact, the other thing I know about it is they jack up the price on the Honeycrisp just a little bit. Besides the game, did you have a good weekend? The weekend was okay, David. For me personally, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I caught the grunge last week, and it brought me down. I was dragging. Saturday morning, I started feeling bad on Friday, and then Saturday, it took forever to get going. But I really can't stand just sitting down all the time. Like, I already do that enough at work. So I relegated myself to still doing some stuff. So I went out in the yard and took up this big rock that was in the way that I really was unsettled with, and I threw it out by the mulch on the side, and then got a big problem with moles in the yard. I don't know, like in the grass. The moles just drive me crazy. It's like that movie. I know Caddyshack, it was like a gopher, but I work hard on the yard, and then the dirt comes up, and it's not like little bit. I mean, they destroy the yard. So I got these things from the exterminator. They're these poisonous worms that you can put down, and they work. But the problem is there's so many moles, they keep coming back. And then I had to fix a toilet, like old toilet. All the insides were like super old. So I took it all apart and just threw it all away and replaced it with a kit. And then I did get around to watching some football, the Ohio State game, on delay because I was busy working on that toilet. And then I did watch the Steelers game on Sunday. How was your all weekend? How was everybody else here? Did you guys have a good weekend? And Mama Bear says a lot of that going around. I don't know, Mama Bear. I don't know what it was from. Like, if it was because getting back from travel, although I felt great for like 4 or 5 days. So I think it's a good possibility. I was just a little low on sleep, and probably weakened my immune system, and I picked up a cold. So I'm still trying to get over it a little bit, but yeah, hopefully this is it for the winter, right? Wouldn't that be great? Apple pie, apple cobbler, apple turnovers. That all sounds good. That does sound good. And Dave, don't forget apple donuts. Mama Bear, allergies. That's an interesting one. I have never had a problem with allergies. Like, everybody's got their own thing. Like, I get headaches sometimes. Some people have problems with allergies. I can like cut grass and dump it out and have my face in it and empty the bag on the vacuum cleaner, and it doesn't drive me crazy. But it was interesting because one time I went for a sore throat years ago to the doctor and thought it was like strep or something like that, because I've had that before. And they're like, it's allergies. And I was like, I don't usually have a problem with allergies. So every once in a while, I'll take like, if I'm not feeling well, I'll take like a Claritin instead to see if it makes everything better, and doesn't do anything. So I don't know how great that logic is. It just tells me it's not allergies because it didn't do anything. So I'm not sure, but I know a lot of people have problems with allergies. My wife does more than I do, but you're definitely right. Allergies, colds, all that stuff. So David, you cooked out Sunday and watched the games, had family over. That's all. You know what? That is the quintessential great weekend right there. And that is really cool. And saw older sister and crew, and the desert is wild. The desert is wild. Yeah, that's awesome. So you're out west, are you? Oh, that's right. California. Yeah. So that's probably a good time of the year to be out in California. There is another gentleman that pops in this channel once in a while out there in California. What is it? I forget his name. He was on the first few live streams. It was kind of neat because it's neat when we get people. And then we also have Cooey, who's from Ireland, but it's too late for him. I don't think he'd be popping in here because it's 9:30 at night. And so that's like 6:30 in Ireland or something like that. So, but yeah, cooking out, watching the games, hanging out in the desert. Everybody, how about everybody else? Anybody else have a good weekend? Hopefully nobody's got a cold. You have any videos of the Grand Canyon? I do not. That would be a cool place to go. I have been out west. I have been to Denver, San Francisco, San Diego. That's about it. Oh, I have been to Arizona. But I have not been to Grand Canyon before. Anybody been to the Grand Canyon? I mean, I've seen it on TV. Looks cool, but I have not been out there. Some of the plans that I have coming up, there'll be the hikes, the fall foliage. I've got stuff from the Philippines. Boy, the Philippines, I didn't think I took anything because I really wasn't there for video taking. And I got all my videos organized. It turns out I took more small clips than I had originally thought. I have 100 clips, over 100 clips from the Philippines. So it's going to take a little bit of video editing. Yeah, Marvin flew over it. That's true, Marvin. I think I do remember one time going out west to pilot, we're over the Grand Canyon, kind of thing. So I've probably seen it from there. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. A lot of good time in the mountains though right now. I was just watching this cool documentary on the Blue Ridge Parkway. And I would assume all of you are familiar with the Blue Ridge Parkway, but if you're not, it's a government highway that goes from Shenandoah, I think I said that right, Shenandoah National Park to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And it goes through Virginia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. It's a scenic highway. And probably seems obvious, but there's a great history to it, and it didn't just appear. And it was a controversial road to build because there was a lot of Native Americans along the path and stuff. So that was kind of an interesting documentary about it. There's also a great history to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park itself and FDR and how that came about, and all the people that were the logging companies and the mills and all that stuff over there, and then they the money that got amassed to help pay for the park. I mean, they've got entire books about that, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and how that came about. That was really cool too, and how it's been preserved. The only sad thing about that is, not sad thing about that, but that it's the trees at the higher elevation, that the ash trees have that disease that has been going through the United States for plants, not humans. I forget what the name of it is, and it's killing all the ash trees, and it's killing a certain type of pine that way up above like 5,500 feet or something like that. So there's just some history there that it's kind of unfortunate. I'm sorry, I'm kind of hesitant on that. I forget the exact facts on it, but there's something that's hurting some of the vegetation at the higher elevations. I've driven the Parkway from Asheville to Blowing Rock. Yeah, so Blowing Rock, I haven't been there in years. Blowing Rock, for those of you who don't know, is in North Carolina. It is northeast of Asheville. Great, beautiful place. And it is, it's a beautiful place. And it's also I was trying to think, that's not the university up there, that's Appalachian State, but that's in Boone. But it's got some great vacationing areas, and it's, if I remember, Marvin, you might be able to refresh my memory, because it has been 15 years since I've driven through there, and I want to go back. But there's some really like high views when you're on the roads going through town there. I have vague memories of it, but it's a beautiful place. I'd like to get back up that way. It's a really beautiful part of the mountains as well. Ash borer, is that what it's called? Yeah, I know. Yeah, whatever it is, it's killing the ash trees and it's killing some of the stuff up there. I'll get my facts straight. But anyway, Great Smoky Mountains National Park is amazing, amazing place. One of the sorry for that cold. I got to drink some water. One of the cool places to stop is was my second video I ever did. If you guys have been there before, you probably know, but if not, and you ever go over that way, East Tennessee, it's called the Sugarlands Visitor Center, and it's free. And if you go in there, if you've watched my video, you've already seen it. But if you haven't, scroll back through the videos. It's the second one, Sugarlands Visitor Center. They got all kinds of stuff about the Smoky Mountains National Park. There's a movie there, and the movie is a DVD that they sell that I actually have. It's really cool. And talking about some of the stuff I talked about, the trees and whatnot, that's where I got that information from. And but the Sugarlands Visitor Center is a must stop, about 10 minutes west of Gatlinburg, outside of Gatlinburg, and it's free unless you buy stuff at the gift shop. That's not free. That's a cool place. It was so funny because always talking a lot about East Tennessee, because East Tennessee is a great place in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, but Western North Carolina is absolutely amazing too. There is a plethora of things to do here. You've got, I mean, everything from Asheville itself and the culture and the size of the city, all the food and all the places to go, the Biltmore Estate, the different mountains, the wintertime sports. You've got Grandfather Mountain, you've got all these Sugar Mountain, you've got Maggie Valley, you've got Hendersonville and Chimney Rock, and I'm not even scraping the surface of Brevard and going down there, and Pisgah Forest, DuPont State Forest, on and on and on. In fact, I think Western North Carolina is just absolutely amazing. Beautiful place to go as far as the mountains go. So I know I talk a lot about Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, and East Tennessee, but the Western North Carolina, I don't want to say it's overlooked, because a lot of people, we get a lot of tourism here, especially this season. People are called leaf peepers. This is called leaf peeping season because the leaves change, and then we get a lot of tourism here, and they jack up the rates of the hotels to like $300 a night in October and November. But Western North Carolina has a lot of nice stuff over here. It's just the attractions are over there in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. It depends on the kind of vacation you want. You know, if you're with a family and you want rides and you want mini golf and fun stuff and dinner shows, that's all over in East Tennessee. Or you go east from here and go to Myrtle Beach. But here it's, you know, more quaint, except for downtown Asheville. A lot of culture, a lot of art, a lot of things going on downtown Asheville. And then the surrounding area is more, you know, outdoorsy type things. Marvin says there was a lodge way up there with a fantastic restaurant, but I don't remember the name of it. That'd be fun to find out and recommend. Is that the one you can see the multiple states from? You know, that's interesting, Mama Bear. I'd have to look at a map again. I can't remember how far north. Boone, though, if it was anything close, it would probably be to Virginia, because that would be due north of Boone on the map. And so I'm not 100% sure. For 18 years, I would go to Boone for a workshop in the summer. It's one of my favorite places in the world. Boone is cool. Appalachian State University there. I just can't say enough. There's very few places in Western North Carolina that I have yet to be like, that's a dump. You need to stay away from there. I mean, it's charm after neat city and culture. Honestly, it's kind of the nice part. I hope that this western side of the state always stays kind of, I've used the word a lot, but quaint, you know, and like, I don't want it to become Charlotte. Charlotte is great. I lived in Charlotte for almost 10 years. There's a place for big city and, you know, and the resources there, Raleigh, Durham and all that. But I hope the mountains doesn't become super crazy, overpopulated, nuts traffic and all that. Asheville's already getting pretty heavily populated. A lot of people are taking their nest egg when they retire and ending up here. It's caused prices to go up pretty high. A lot of people get aggravated in Asheville because they want to move here, but if they don't have a really good job lined up, they end up they end up leaving because it's unfortunately the prices of the housing can be a bit high. I wouldn't say a bubble necessarily, but depending on where you're at, like some of the houses they build in Nashville that are new, I mean, you look at the square foot and you're getting 1,700 to 2,300 square foot, and they're charging $600,000 or $700,000. I mean, it's expensive. I mean, yeah, you can find cheaper than that. You just have to get outside of Asheville proper, and this is like a lot of places. The further you get out, you can get a much more reasonable price. But I hope it stays. It keeps its charm in the mountains and doesn't become another Charlotte. It just would ruin the nature of it. Hopefully someone buys Ghost Town in the Sky. It would be great for Maggie Valley. That's a great topic, David. For those of you who don't know, there's a really interesting history. That's a great topic you picked up, David. Ghost Town in the Sky was an amusement park in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. And you can still see the remnants of it today if you are driving down the main highway, like you're going towards Cherokee, and you're going through Maggie Valley, and you look up because you had to take a chairlift to actually get up to Ghost Town in the Sky. So you parked in the valley and you took the chairlift up, and there was an amusement park at the top. And the amusement park in its heyday had a roller coaster on the edge of the mountain, like at the top edge of the mountain, a Western themed town, food and all that kind of stuff. And there were some other rides as well. But it's gone through its demise over the years, and it couldn't keep it couldn't stay in business. And there have been multiple owners that will reopen it and refurb it. And I don't know my facts. The latest owner was a lady that was a little further along in her years, but she really believed in it and she put a lot of money into it. And there's been several people that were interested in it, but ultimately, I'm going to tell you what the problem, my hypothesis from thinking of it from like a business standpoint, is Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. An amusement park and all the price and everything that it costs, you're not going to get a ticket too much cheaper than probably between $20 and $50. And Maggie Valley on its own has a smaller charm, but there's not tons and tons to do. It's great if you want to get a cabin up in the mountains, have some dinner, do a little local shopping, maybe drive to Cherokee. Sorry, guys. And but I think it just can't beat it out. Like if you are staying over in East Tennessee at Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge and you are spending your money on vacation, there's nothing to say, let's not go to Dollywood, or let's not go to the Ripley's, or let's not go to one of these and drive, an hour and 45 minutes over to Maggie Valley and go to Ghost Town in the Sky. And then folks from Asheville, it's not that much farther. In fact, it wouldn't even probably be an hour and 45, probably been like an hour and 15. It's not that much further to just go ahead and go all the way to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge and then have all that entertainment. I think in 2019, I don't know if anybody could sustain Ghost Town in the Sky financially to compete with what is just the neighbor on the other side of the state. I think it would have a hard time. And I think that's why it's going to be a thing in the past. Hendersonville, North Carolina is nice. It is really nice. That's where the Apple Festival was. David said, I always say Dollywood should buy. So it'd be interesting, David, if Dollywood bought it, how that would work. If you think of most theme parks from big to small, whether it's Carowinds, Kings Island, Cedar Point, Disney World, Disneyland, Busch Gardens, most of them don't have satellite locations that are in a close proximity like that. Like Busch Gardens or Cedar Fair Entertainment might have 12 parks, but they're going to be, at least a few hundred miles apart. The only reason in Ohio that Cedar Fair has some that are even close in proximity is because Kings Island was owned by Paramount, and then before that, it was actually originally started by the folks that created Coney Island, because I had seen a documentary on that. But anyway, then Cedar Fair gobbled it all up. But I think if they had started from scratch, they wouldn't have built Cedar Point and then Kings Island down there in Cincinnati. So it would just be an interesting thing for Dollywood to buy it, because I'm not sure how they would market it. Also, for those of you that have been through Maggie Valley, there's not a ton of, I don't know, it's a huge motorcycle stop, like, because it's so beautiful over there. A lot of motorcycle rallies go through there. As far as car traffic, I don't know. Every time we go through there, there's no traffic at all. It's like 5 lanes, I think, going through the main drag, and you never have any problem with traffic. So it's just kind of gauging. I think Cherokee gets more people than Maggie Valley does. But both are great places for vacation, by the way. In fact, if somebody didn't want to go, or they wanted to hop around the mountains, doing like Bryson City, Cherokee, Maggie Valley, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, boy, you could, in Asheville, you get the best of everything. I think that might be a bit much, but hopefully I'm not boring you all with the. I mean, this is Mr. Mountain Man's channel about Western North Carolina and the mountains, so we tend to talk a lot here about this mountain area, but I'd like to be inclusive of everybody's topics, because this is a live stream and it's an open chat. So anybody who wants to bring up their own topics, I'm actually a pretty versatile person, and I get into a lot of different things, whether I'm talking about football, the house, or the mountains, or whatever. So if somebody wants to go out and left field and bring up one of their hobbies or something interesting, it's open to do that. I welcome it for a good conversation. I've heard of Lookout Mountain. Have you been there? You know what? I'm going to open another tab and look exactly where that is. Lookout Mountain. Since we have this great thing called the internet, and I'm sitting right here. Oh, it says, okay, Chattanooga. Oh, no, pardon me. Mountain in Georgia? Wait, yeah, Chattanooga. And looks pretty neat here. I have not been there. Lookout Mountain. Oh, there's a railway there. There's falls. That's one of the things I've always found. Oh, no, it says Chattanooga, Tennessee. I don't know why it said Georgia on the other thing. Sorry, I'm trying to read and look at it at the same time. Sorry, I knew Chattanooga was Tennessee. But, oh, look, you can get a ticket for the falls, the railway, and the Rock City Flex ticket for like $56.90. Or you can do the railway, the falls. Has anybody been to Lookout Mountain? I have not. That's a good one, Mama Bear. Anybody been there? That sounds pretty cool. Thanks, by the way, for the thumbs up. I appreciate it in the chat. Nobody's obligated to do that. I don't think you can. You thumbs down chats? I don't know. You probably. Oh, I think you can actually. But anyway, thanks for the thumbs up on the chat. I appreciate it. I also want to stop and thank, just for a minute, everybody for watching the videos. I hope you enjoy them. I've said this in live streams before. If you all get an enjoyment out of seeing something you either wouldn't get to see, hope to see, never going to see, I don't know, and just enjoy it, then it's worth the effort. Because I do put in a bit of effort to edit the videos, and I always get excited to see what people think. So thank you for watching the videos and supporting the channel. I appreciate that. And it's not for aspirations of any kind of size or anything like that, or subscriber count. It's nice to know if people, like, my favorite comments are the ones that people say that was like really fun to watch, or I really enjoyed that, or asked me a question about something. I always like those kinds of that kind of feedback. And of course, you can give me other feedback too if there's constructive criticism. That's always welcomed as well. Mama Bear says, haven't been to Lookout Mountain. Okay. Looks like a neat place. It's interesting. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about of the unbelievably, number of places to go. I guess I shouldn't knock on any state, but it certainly doesn't feel like North Dakota around here, or something. I mean, there's just a ton to do between. I mean, even Virginia. If you look at Virginia and you go all the way up by DC and all the museums, and then the mountains on the west side, and then the beaches and Tennessee. I haven't done much up in Kentucky, but I hear there's a lot of fun stuff to do up in Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, North Georgia. When I think of Georgia, I don't think of mountains, but North Georgia does have, the Appalachian or the Blue Ridge Mountains do go through there. And so it's interesting. North Georgia, there's a lot of people from Atlanta that get like vacation cabins in North Georgia because they can go up there on the weekend. And I watch this show from time to time on television called Log Cabin Living. It's just kind of fun because they're always in the mountains usually. And that exposed me to the fact that North Georgia has a lot of mountains. And so, Tennessee, North Carolina. And then you talk about South Carolina. You go over to the coast and you got Charleston and you've got all the kinds of good stuff over there. A lot of fun stuff in South Carolina too. You can see Georgia from Lookout Mountain. That is cool. That's probably why it said Chattanooga and could see Georgia. Am I coming to Gatlinburg soon? I don't know exactly when I'm coming to Gatlinburg. I might end up there. I would hope to get there sometime in October or November. I don't have any exact plans, David. I'd like to see. I don't know exactly when. If I come with the family, I'll be frank, it's a little less flexible to like meet up and stuff, but I kind of wanted to get together with some of the people in the area there as well, maybe on a solo run over there sometime. So if I ever get anything like known that I'm going over there, I'll definitely announce it on the channel. So maybe we can, say howdy or something like that. That would be fun. Look who's here, Smoky Mountain Hiker. Smoky Mountain Hiker says, hello, Mr. Mountain Wind and everyone. Hope everyone's having a great night. The news is saying someone is trying to buy Ghost Town and reopen it, but not believing it till see it open. Yeah, Smoky Mountain Hiker, I hope you heard the whole thing about it there. Did you guys hear that story in the one I was referring to? Is that they thought it's actually kind of a scandal. That lady that owned it, like some people, oh man, I'm going to probably butcher this story, but I was really into the history there and looking at it like a year or two ago. There was a lady that owned it, and then some guy was telling her, like, you make Ghost Town the Sky open and it's going to be great. And we've got a whole bunch of investors in Florida that want to, put money behind this, and kind of conned her into it. And he ended up living in her basement. I guess she's got a rather large house. It's not like something small. By the way, I didn't make this up. You can read about this stuff. Turns out the guy was like a hoax. Nobody ever was going to really invest in it. At one point, they said that they even tried to say that there was Disney behind it, but it was like an ex-employee. And so, yeah, I don't know. But jumping down to Smoky Mountain Hiker is a new one, just came out last week. So I could be completely wrong, and it'd be kind of cool if I'm wrong, because I think that would add charm to Maggie Valley. Listen, this isn't my forte. I'm not an entrepreneur. So I could be completely wrong. Definitely could be completely wrong. But I wonder how viable it can be because of the competition over in East Tennessee. Maybe, look at like Gatlinburg. So Gatlinburg is right next to, I love Gatlinburg, by the way. Definitely going to do a video from Gatlinburg. I've been there a bunch. Love their summertime stuff. Their water slides and the chair lifts and all that stuff. I love it. I love it. I love it. They exist right down the road from Dollywood and still make it. Their price point for the wristband for all day is like maybe $20 to $30, I think. I don't know. It's like 100 or something with the family. I can't remember. And there's a model where something works. Now, the difference in that business use case is that Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge has plenty of people to go around. So, if there's duplicate of the same, everybody's going to get a piece of the pie, meaning the money. Whereas in Maggie Valley, it's a very seasonal town. And so I'm not sure. One of the things that's cool about the history is that as well is that roller coaster. Everything I've read is there is no way it could be resurrected. The money it would cost, like that one time they put like, what was it? If anybody knows the fact, it was like $1 or maybe $1.5 million into it. It opened for one day and then they had to close it back down again. It just wasn't safe integrity. It's almost like a tease. They should just tear it down because as long as you see the structure there, you want to think that roller coaster could come back to life. Search YouTube for, if you find the name, I should try to find it and post it on Twitter or something like that. I found somebody who had a VHS camera and they took a video on that old roller coaster, the red one, whatever it was called. And obviously they converted it to digital and they put it on YouTube. And I thought it was cool. It's kind of a short roller coaster, but the views, because you were on the edge of the mountain, was really neat. So we will see about Ghost Town in the Sky. I love that topic, by the way. So that's really fun to talk about. Elijah, Georgia is a nice area. Yeah, that is David. Is that must be North Georgia as well. Smoky Mountain Hiker going to definitely give a shout out. If anybody here is listening in the background or hasn't heard him, is the go-to one-stop shop for figuring out what hike you want to do if you haven't been on a hike yet. He has comprehensive videos on hiking that show, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, William, but I believe if it's not the whole hike, it's a majority of the hike. And he does it in high def with the gimbal. And so it's really well put together videos. And so, and if you don't like hiking, you're like, I don't want to hike. I'm more of a, enjoy it from my recliner. That's awesome too, because you can actually enjoy the hike and some of the sounds of nature and stuff like that. So it's really cool. So good job, Smoky Mountain Hiker. Yeah, 2 YouTube channel shout outs tonight. Because I was later, I didn't do a YouTuber of the week. So I don't have a printout tonight, but 2 YouTube shout outs is the Mama Bear's Instapot Cooking and the Smoky Mountain Hiker. If anybody else in the chat here happens to have a YouTube channel that they want mentioned, feel free to go ahead and do it. You know what happens? Let me tell you something about these live streams. So I know I only have, I got less than 10 people here, in which I thank everybody for being here. But what happens is as channels grow and people find certain channels interesting, and if this has, tenure to it, people will go back and watch old live streams to see kind of the formation of the channel. I know I've done that before. I've watched other people's, originating live streams. So even though we have a small audience live tonight, a lot more people will, potentially watch this in the future. So, yeah, Smoky Mountain Hiker is a cool dude. Smoky Mountain Hiker, I guess, is getting more well known too. Like, gets to go to the meetups in Pigeon Forge. And Smoky Mountain Hiker, didn't you have some folks from not British Columbia? What's it called? Why am I having I'm drawing a blank here. Nova Scotia, right? Am I making this up? They saw your hikes and sent you like a care package or brought you one. That was a cool video too. They brought you some chocolates from Canada or something like that. I think it was Nova Scotia. That seems like a cool place to go, doesn't it? Up there, those islands, if you go. Actually, I would like to go up that way, that part of the United States sometimes, like Vermont. I would love to go to Vermont. I'd love to see Vermont. Snow is a funny thing with me. Everybody, PEI in Canada. Okay. I don't know if that's a company. I think it's a company, right? Sorry if I missed something. I should have. look. But with this, in Marvin, you got to meet Smoky Mountain Hiker, Will and Don this past summer in Pigeon Forge. That's cool. Yeah, it was really nice when they have the meetups and allow the community to get together and, you know, meet all these nice people. Will and Don used to, or sometime would come around in this live stream, but I haven't seen them in a while. I don't know if Monday night is really ideal for them, or maybe they don't care to join. You know, whatever. But I have seen them say hello before. Especially Don has said hello in here before, so it's always nice when they chime in as well. Also met Beck and Michael. That's from NTL Vlogs. I think actually that's one of the ones I think I was up against tonight, Marvin, when I started this live stream. I think I do Mondays, and they always go putt-putt golf on Monday. So a huge contingent of the East Tennessee YouTube community, pardon me, is on their live stream. So I know it was a little ambitious starting one up tonight, but I enjoy the community and I enjoy the folks that join. It's kind of cool when we only have a few people because we get to talk and nobody's comment gets missed. But I did get to meet NTL Vlogs as well at one of the meetups that I was able to go to in the summertime. And that's where I met Smoky Mountain Hiker as well. Been to Maine, it is beautiful. Yeah, so the only thing I've seen again about Maine is that show I mentioned earlier, Log Cabin Living. They've done some cabins in Vermont and Maine, and it looks pretty cool. I started to talk about snow. It's interesting with me. I grew up in the Midwest. I didn't like the gray days of winter in this place, Ohio. But I always liked snow growing up. I never had a problem with snow. It either meant school was canceled or I was going to have a good time. And so then I moved, well, years later, I ended up in Florida. And boy, that's the opposite. Like, that's just hot all the time. I wouldn't say one extreme to another, but it definitely wore on me, especially in September. It would get so humid, stay so humid and 90, and there'd be no let up. It'd really start to wear on me. I love the mountains because you get some snow here. You get winter, but you don't have to deal with like -20. I don't mind winter because when you get sick of summer and or if it's running long in the tooth, then you get fall and winter. Just about the time winter's kind of dragging on, all of a sudden spring's here. The seasons are pretty nice. You get 6 months of well, not 6 months each, but it's like 6 months with no leaves and winterish, and then 6 months with great weather and vegetation and all that fun stuff. Usually look for my live stream around 7 on Monday. David, I'm really glad I did the live stream tonight. 2 things were discouraging me. One, it was a late day. I had a big dinner. What happens after a big dinner? I was like this. I was sleepy. And I said, well, I really want to do the live stream. I want to keep it going. And also when I came on YouTube, I saw 2 or 3 live streams going again of the kind of the mountain community on YouTube that I was up against, the larger channels than mine. And so I was a little bit discouraged, but I really, really like having you guys here. And I see most of you all watching my videos too, and it's kind of neat to interact and stuff like that. Thank you, Smoky Mountain Hiker, for educating me. I probably sounded silly. I said PEI, Prince Edward Island. Yes, thank you. And I knew I was wrong. I was thinking that was like a company or something. Please forgive me, Canadians, for my ignorance. So Prince Edward Island, Canada. They sent nice gifts. Smoky Mountain Hiker, well deserved. Very cool video. That was neat. I get to come up home to Gatlinburg 22nd, moving some more stuff up. Yay. So Mama Bear, I wasn't aware of that. Wait, you get to come up home to Gatlinburg. You don't have to say, are you inferring you're moving to Gatlinburg, or you're just going on vacation, or you already live in East Tennessee? That's cool. Whatever shape or form of Gatlinburg you're getting to enjoy, whether it's vacation or moving or you already live there or whatever you're doing. That's awesome. Gatlinburg's always a fun time. I don't really get bored of it. Just curious, if leaves changing much on your side? Haven't been on that side yet. I know there are not much here. Great question, Smoky Mountain Hiker. So I was talking to myself at the beginning of the live stream, I think before people jumped on, talking about the leaves. So the leaves here, I was driving home this evening and leaves are falling. But they're not falling because they've gone through the color change and they're coming off the tree. They're falling because we haven't had rain and they dried up and they're like dead and crunchy. So they've gone from, they're not even, it's not fall, I don't think. And again, I don't work for the North Carolina Extension or anything. So somebody could say, you're wrong, Alan. They'd be right probably. But from what I can tell, and I believe my wife, funny enough, did talk to somebody from the North Carolina Extension. They said that the trees are confused. They dry up and there's crunchy brown leaves on the ground right now, not the wet, damp, like orange, yellow, brown, wet, and red leaves. So no, the answer, that's a long-winded answer. No, they're not changing. There's a little bit of change, but it's a little bit of fooling because there's brown in the trees. There is some yellow. I think the yellow is legitimate, the brown, but I think Smoky Mountain Hiker, to be realistic, I bet we're talking a month from now and, you know, it's popping. You know, like November 5th, November 10th-ish, I wouldn't be surprised at the elevation that we're at. That's pretty cool. That's what's happening here in Western North Carolina. The elevation's different. So if anybody, you've already heard me say this. If you're going on vacation or somebody's watching this live stream, and you're like, we planned our vacation to Western North Carolina or East Tennessee. We want to see leaves change. We're paying $300 a night for a hotel, and all the leaves are green. Your best bet is to get on the Blue Ridge Parkway or whatever road. If you're over in Tennessee going up into the mountains like Klingman's Dome, Smoky Mountain Hiker, another plug, had a good video from that recently. The higher elevation you get, and a lot of people don't realize that if you live like somewhere where you don't pay attention to elevation, and most people don't, I still find this an interesting fact. Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge are between 900 and 1,100 feet when you are at the main places, especially Pigeon Forge. It's even a little bit lower than Gatlinburg. You go up to like Klingman's Dome, you're above 6,000 feet. Okay, so that's a huge difference. The temperature could be a lot different. The leaves can be different. If it's in winter, it could be snowing up there in 48 or 50 degrees in Gatlinburg. So, you know, you get up in elevation if you're missing some aspect of a season you want to see. If you're missing snow and you want to see snow, get up in the mountains. If you're missing leaf change because you're too early, get up in the mountains. That's the best advice I could give you. David gives me a compliment and said he'd like me more if I was a Packer fan. Well, I respect the Packers because they are a long-term institution like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm still bummed about that Super Bowl we lost to you guys. That was a tough pill. I wish Marquise Pouncey was playing in that game. He got hurt right before it, but he still won. Aaron Rodgers is a pretty funny dude. It was crazy when he grew that mustache. That looked hilarious. Same here. That is what they're doing here. Sadly, the rain we were supposed to get today fizzled out. Yeah, Smoky Mountain Hiker is weird. We got this front that moved through, but no moisture with it. So we got a little bit of drizzle on the weekend, but nothing substantial. So it is going to affect the color diversity in the trees. What did Mama Bear say? Oh, retirement home. Oh, I missed that. Mama Bear said retirement home that burnt down finally got rebuilt. Well, Mama Bear, that is excellent news. The Gatlinburg fires were awful. I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, they talk about what the perfect storm is. You might think I'm like some kind of documentary historian buff, but I'm not. But there are certain things I do like the history on, or at least the facts. When I was still down in Florida, I was reading some stuff about, I can't remember exactly when, but I was reading about the fires. But I didn't read like the news sites. I found like a fireman's what do you call it? Like forum, and was talking about the National Park Service and the events that happened on chimney tops and what happened with those fires. And it's crazy because what I remember from that story, again, this wasn't like the main media news stories. This was more, getting down into the nuts and bolts into an area. I'm not a fireman, but basically those two fires, and you talk about the perfect storm, from what I recall, and I wish I still had the link because I was reading pages and pages and pages and pages of like documented stuff from the National Park Service and like all this stuff. That fire back then in 2016 was very small before Thanksgiving. But some of the people up on that mountain said there was a lot of fuel. Fuel is like dead leaves and sticks and stuff. There was an unusual amount of fuel up on those chimney tops. And they wanted some special firefighters. I think they're called jumpers or something like that. They have them out in California. They're very expensive. But you can call them in and they could have basically gotten it out. But Thanksgiving weekend was coming, or Thanksgiving holiday was coming up, and they said, we want to punt on that. We don't want to get them. We're not going to do it. And so the fire wasn't contained. They thought they could continue to contain it. And then one thing led to another in the perfect storm, and then those hurricane force winds, and that was impossible. When you all still had those fires burning and that hurricane force wind, that was just a nightmare for what happened to Gatlinburg. So Mama Bear, I'm glad your house got rebuilt. There was a cabin that we stayed at in 2016 that got burnt down up there in Chalet Village. And I don't think it's ever been rebuilt because we were up there a few times, and there's just some beautiful property. So I hope whatever you got built, is very, very nice for you. I'm glad. One of the things that I found interesting, Mama Bear, I don't know if you had this happened to you or not. When we used to go up to the cabins, a lot of those were built in like the 60s and 70s, had unique charm and whatnot. But what I was told in Gatlinburg is those houses can't be rebuilt in 2019 because they don't meet code that's required now because code's more strict. So a lot of the houses that are going up now, are built more similarly, at least aesthetically. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but some of the individual charm, I think maybe it was just a different era and people don't build houses like that anymore. Like the A-frames were really cool. I don't know if people like to build A-frames anymore or not. But anyway, Mama Bear, that's really awesome about that. I hope you guys have a great time. Move all your stuff in and just have a blast in Gatlinburg. And I'm jumping down to your comment. It was a hurricane of fire. Yes, it was. I mean, that's it. It was a hurricane of fire. We went to the Park Vista, the one that was on the national news where they got trapped. We went there on December 26th of 2016. It had just reopened I think a day before Christmas, and we could still smell the smoke. We were there from the 26th to the 30th or the 26th to the 29th of 2016. So, we need rain. Yeah, we do need rain. And the Blue Ridge Parkway is great. They got that fire here at 70% control. That's good. Smoky Mountain Hiker, talking about the fire that's going on now is 70% controlled. Good. We don't need any more fires. Fires are in the mountains. That's bad news. We need some rain. We need to get some rain in here. It's a dry year in 2016. Yeah. So Mama Bear says small, but a lot of windows. We didn't stay in the same exact footprint. So we had all because of the new code. Yeah. So it's pretty cool if you tried to rebuild it similarly. Not that I was in that position, but I think it did cross my mind. Like if I had owned a house and it burned down, would I have built it the same? And if it meant a lot to me, I probably would have tried to get the plans to be as close as possible to the same. I wonder, Mama Bear, about some of the land that hasn't been rebuilt back on. If people are deciding to sell the land and keep the money on the house and do something else. And also, I know there's just construction workers can't keep up with all the rebuild. Again, correct me if I'm wrong on anything, guys. I heard some of that, but I could be wrong. No, we could have replaced the big A. Oh, did you have an A-frame? I think A-frames are awesome. The house we stayed at in Chalet Village was an A-frame. And when you're in an A-frame and you've got those huge glass windows, they are crazy looking. No way it could have replaced the big A-frame. So I don't know if that means like you're not allowed to because of code, or you had an A-frame and you just couldn't replace it now, or the builders these days don't want to build them. I'm not really sure. Yeah, a lot of the land's for sale. Smoky Mountain, maybe, you don't know what everybody, we don't know what everybody's thinking, but maybe some people had them as rentals and they weren't making money, and they're not, they're like, well, this is the situation, good, bad, indifferent. We don't want to rebuild and get back into the rental business. We're just going to sell the land, keep the money, and, do something else, put it towards retirement or whatever. So, well, I'm going to start winding down the chat. We're a little bit over an hour. Thanks again for those that thumbs up the chat if you enjoyed it. Oh, Mama Bear, I was still interested in what she was saying. Too many dollars to replace an A-frame. That is super interesting to me. I'm intrigued by A-frames, and they're very unique, and that's interesting to know that you can't, that it would have been too expensive. That's very interesting. Again, thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the chat, guys. I'm glad you guys showed up. We got the regulars here, David. We got Smoky Mountain Hiker, Mama Bear. We had Marvin. I think he dropped off a little bit ago. And did I miss anybody else? If anybody was lurking in the shadows and just likes listening, welcome to the channel. Hope you had a entertaining time and good talking to everybody. I hope you all have a great week. God bless. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the chats. Yeah, Marvin's still hanging around. You all have a great week. Again, I say this every week. Mondays are kind of touch and go. I think we got maybe a family thing next week. So next Monday, maybe not. Maybe I'll, I'm not sure about next week's live stream, but I'm definitely going to keep at the videos and such. I do have a Twitter account. It's Mr. Mountain Man. If you just put that in to Twitter, it's on my. If you guys don't have Twitter, you don't have to use it. I just meant that if you did, it's Mr. Mountain _man. Mr. Mountain _man is my Twitter. So sometimes I, put random stuff on there. I know Vols fan from Ohio comes on here to give me heck about the Steelers and stuff. She's active on that, and there's some other people. So if you're on Twitter and you want to follow, I'll follow you back. And so David, you got a game next weekend, next Monday anyway. So we'll play it by ear for the next week. By the week after that, I should be back at a regular time. And if I find there's a more opportune time to get more people involved, we could do that as well. But I'm not looking to have, a ton. As long as we have a good conversation, it's definitely worth the time. It was great hanging out with everybody today. I know it's getting late. I hope everybody has a great week. And this is Mr. Mountain Man signing off. You all have a great night. Thanks, God. Take care, guys.